Sure. Floor. Yeah, I remember when I was a kid and I went and saw my Avatar equivalent in 1993, and I went and saw Jurassic Park. I ended up seeing that movie over 40 times in the theater over the next like 2 years, because back then in the 90s in California they had theaters that went, you know, a movie was in the theater for like a year, 2 years sometimes. And that's what I did, is I would just go to the Dollar Theater. Back then they had them. I don't know if they do anymore. This is back in the mid-90s, you know. Early mid-90s. But they had the Dollar Theater and the matinee theaters. Double features and drive-ins. They had movie theaters all over the place. At the Marketplace, in Canyon Crest, and at the mall. At the Z Galleria, at Tyler. All these cool places. Alright, so I'm going to put in this thing here. I need to make some dots in there. Ugh. We'll put some dots like such in parts of it. Put dots like on this side. Keep my hands steady. And then we can put them in this slice here. Yeah, I remember when I first saw that Jurassic Park, it was like, wow. You know, when you first see the T-Rex, and the Velociraptors and stuff, it's just amazing. You know, that movie was amazing, and it still holds up. It's unreal how it still holds up today. It's just crazy talk. Alright, so what color is this lady's dress gonna be? How about... needs to be like wacky. How's about? Oh, let me see what kind of blue we got here. Oh, that's not too bad. Let's see what that looks like. Like a blue and a yellow or something. So if I went like this. And just kept you going, yeah. The alcohol markers spread a certain way. You gotta anticipate how they spread, and you gotta be willing to have a little bit of overflow, but you can fix it later if you want to, or you can roll with it. All depends on how you like to roll. If it's like super egregious, I'll fix it, but otherwise I'll just blend it in. Choose a scenario. Gonna hold my breath, so if you hear some dead air, that's usually what it is, just me holding my breath so that I can not shake while I'm coloring here. You gotta do that with like crazy details and anything where you're trying to kind of keep in the lines, you know. Yeah, there you go. Yep, so we'll see. That new Avatar is down like, you know, $500 million or something crazy from the last one. So, yeah, we'll see. It sucks too, because it's like, I don't really super care for the Avatar franchise. I like some of the stuff in it. You know, I like the human arc, you know. I like the human technology and how it's fairly close to our own, and it's believable, you know. Whatever futurists they had working on that movie did their job. So, but it's just interesting to see. You know, I was hoping they'd get back to Earth at some point, you know, in the story. And, you know, save Earth or give it a lecture, you know, about how much of a fuck up it is, and how you killed your home, and I have a piece of Mother Gaia or whatever the hell, Awa, and it'll help our world re-heal, you know. That's what I'm waiting for. The Jim Cameron, he's not into that, you know. He wants to portray everybody as a bad, evil, capitalistic white person in Avatar. He wants to make every white person out to be the bad guy, but at the same time have the white savior save the movie. So I don't know. I don't know what he's doing. It's crazy. It's crazy talk. Alrighty. Fix her dress like such. Just going around it a little bit. You know, and if we have to, we'll just fill that in. And with that color, let me see here, what would be a good color with that one? How about blue and like a purple or something? I like a, no, I've been using a lot of purple. How about like a darker blue? Let's see what we got here. Oh yeah, that looks okay. It's the same as the portal. There you go, that looks good. That looks good. There we go. That's a believable looking dress, isn't it, ladies? You tell me. So I haven't been keeping track of football. I'm fairly convinced that it's rigged. I feel like it takes an outsider looking in to see that. Like, I've never been a football fan or a sports fan in general. You know, I've learned it because I had to when I was bartending. It behooved me to learn it. But lately, you know, ever since the sport betting has been allowed, sure seems like there's a lot of allegations of throwing games and shit going on a lot, you know? Enough that it's concerning. You know, and then you get Taylor Swift involved and Kelsey, their whole thing, their whole love triangle, and it's like, and the way Mahomes is treated by the referees, Saint Mahomes, and you know, from the outside looking in, you're like, sure seems like they get a lot of breaks, you know? I was watching a game the other day and I was like, is that even allowed? Like, I could see that they were, you know, well, not the other day, well, it was a while ago, I guess. But it was one of the last contested games from, you know, from the fucking Kansas City Chiefs there. And some shit went down, and I'm like, is that even allowed? It doesn't seem like it. And they got away with it. It seemed like Kansas City was getting away with everything, and whoever they were playing, I think it was like the Giants or maybe it was Detroit, I don't remember. But they weren't getting away with shit. And they would even bring it up to the refs, like, how come you didn't call that? You know, the people, the whole crowd would be screaming. You know, the casters would be like, huh, that's weird that they didn't call that. Everybody would be calling it out. But the refs didn't, you know? So, and then you start thinking, well, how much money is on this game? You know, how much pressure is on the refs? How much money do they get paid to make everything look great? You know, keep the dream alive. You know, Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift, their love is what's keeping the games winning. You know, I could see it. And like I said, when there's so much money involved, it's hard to not believe that it's rigged, you know? There's just too much money involved. There's no way they could have that much money involved and not have some kind of level of control over the situation, you know? It's just hard to believe. I think when you're a big-time football fan, I think it's easy to overlook it, though. You know? I really do. You know, I'm a Star Trek fan, so I can easily spot what's going on, you know? In my opinion, at least. You can easily spot it. But, like I said, if people want to go along with it is entertainment. It's not classified as anything else, you know? So, I guess go along with it, you know. But, you know, it doesn't seem very sportsman to have a rigged game. Very sportsman-like, you know. Whatever, though. Keeps everybody happy. Keeps Mahomes happy. Keeps the Swifties happy. You know, and then the football people, I'm sure they're happy because, you know, they have this whole new group of people that are watching football now for Taylor Swift, the Swifties, you know. And they're kind of a cult. Not in a bad way, they're just, but, you know, they are what they are. Alright, there's our little dress on the lady. Alright. Yeah, we just gotta clean up a couple edges here. Clean up a couple little edges. Booyah! Hanging out in the kitchen. Doing her thing. Washing dishes. Stupid cat. Watching her keys get stolen again. Yep. Almost done. She's got a green floor. She should have like brownish trim going on. Yeah, there you go. Get that gross puke yellow 60s kitchen look, you know? Puke yellow 60s kitchen look. Okay, what else should look like this? Should make the ceiling kind of a green too. Okay, what do I got here? Ugly. Finish this stupid thing right here. Yeah, so now we're doing the ceiling here. Also a hideous color. Just to kind of go with our explosion of color. You know, my kid is getting that age where he's starting to like girls and stuff and not so much the childish things in life. But one thing he still likes a lot is the animatronics. You know, the Five Nights at Freddy's. Not so much that, but like the real animatronics. You know, and he wants to collect them, and I'm like, well, it's kind of a dying thing. But you should, you know, it should be, it deserves to be kept alive, you know, the skill that went into making those things. You know, that kind of stuff deserves to stay alive, just like art deserves it. Everybody's kind of like flocking to the AI. But in my head, I'm like, you know, no, I'm going to keep doing my art stuff because art, you know,